This is Figures Sold Separately, episode 208, Big Black Pills, September 24th, 2018.
He-Man. Who's the big guy with the muscles?
He's He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Skeletor is his enemy.
He-Man.
Here's He-Man, Skeletor, and Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together.
You're doomed, He-Man.
Oh, yeah? Watch this action, Dad.
He-Man.
Now I have the power.
He-Man and Skeletor each sold separately. Castle Grayskull also sold separately from the Masters of the Universe collection from Mattel.
So I was telling you guys a little bit off the air about this Facebook group, two groups. I'm going to focus on one of them because one of them is way better than the other. And hopefully they're okay with me mentioning it. Because you have to to get in and see what's inside of it, you have to apply and you have to answer a little bit of a questionnaire. Okay. Basically just a questionnaire to make sure you're not some kind of sexist douche.
Matt, how do you know I'm not a sexist douche?
Because I know you somewhat well. You're not a sexist douche.
Okay, I was more just trying to throw you a curveball. But I'm really not a sexist douche. It's true.
It's called Hurry Ladies While He's Single, or Why He's Still Single, I think is the name of it. Okay. So this group is just amazing on a couple of different levels. First of all, it's mostly women who are screenshotting and then, of course, anonymizing the screenshot so that not to call, you can't dox somebody. Yeah. Right? But they're taking screenshots of Tinder conversations that they have with dudes. Oh, getting, and these are all I swear to God, everyone in there is just the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But because these are the women who are getting harassed constantly, and so they're random Facebook dudes messaging them, and there's a lot of the and I'm sure. I feel like a lot of guys don't know that this happens. And a lot of women, every woman knows that it does. And it's just and I'm sure you've had this happen. It's just the random message you'll get from some dude that you are completely not interested in. And he will, and then they'll of course they'll turn on you at the last second, and they'll be like, "Well, you're a fucking cunt, and I didn't want to blah 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 anyway," because you rejected them or they feel slighted.
Bleep that word again. That's the second time in the history of this show.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna let it slide this time as the producer because I said it. Anyway,
you said it last time too.
I know. Why do I always say that word?
Every 2 years, Matt gets one.
It's the context that I'm using it in.
It's true.
That somebody else said that.
It's absolutely true.
But I want to say it now.
But go ahead.
Cunt.
There you go. Don't be a cunt.
You can only say it in a British accent because there it's not as bad.
And mostly Australians are really big on saying it.
It's true.
But British are too. But anyway, so there's a lot of that. But it's also just dude creeping up in DMs and just being really creepy. Yeah. And so I've been
sliding into DMs with not enough lube, kind of sliding into DMs.
Creepy as fuck. And I have loved it for it's a two-sided love that I have for it. Because first of all, it's entertaining as shit. Yeah. But the second is to learn from these dudes' mistakes. Because I'm not dating I'm not actively out there dating right now. Yeah. I've got a girl, but
I got a girl.
But just the approaches that these guys make, and it's gave me such an insight because exactly, and it's I think, oh man, I'm going to approach this girl and it's going to be so original. But seeing these girls, their bullshit detector is so finely tuned that they know exactly what's coming, and you can here comes the dick pic.
Wait for it.
Boom, dick pic.
But there are places Reddit has whole places that are just for that.
Okay, yeah. I don't use Reddit. I use Facebook, so I'm just talking about this Facebook.
There's whole places where it's just hot women going hey, send me awful things because that's what I'm into. Go there.
Yeah.
Do this stuff.
Maybe they don't know that
I see what you're saying. But it's no, but these guys are not trying to do that. They're not doing this for shock value. They're literally hitting on these women.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Man, Tinder's a gold mine. There's so much Tinder in there. But there's also Tinder tends to be the guys that when they get rejected, they immediately on a dime will flip on you and be like, "Oh, fuck you! You're a whore anyways." Yeah. But the other component of it is also these fedora wearing, neckbeard, quote unquote nice guys, you know, that are always, why doesn't she like me because I'm a nice guy? And then the ultimate evolution of the nice guy, which is the incel, which if you don't know what an incel is, it's involuntarily celibate.
It's basically a subset of the red pillar whole.
Yeah, they call it black pill. It's
MRA movement.
Holy shit.
Seriously, it's called black pill?
Yeah, if you want to know
black pills are bigger than red pills.
If you want to know
God damn it.
The black pills. If you want to know what an incel is, go to incel.me. You don't have to have an account, and it's basically a message board for incels.
Oh God,
there is some of the worst things you have ever seen going on in there.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to go to that site.
But like I said, it's kind of like, I think that my fascination with reading the stuff from these people post, it's like part of it is just watching a train wreck and you can't look away.
Yeah, it's like a serial killer documentary.
Totally.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I'm learning so much about the next time that I date, what not to do. Like I'm getting so much insider information from this group of like,
awesome.
of like this is what these women like fucking daily put up with. And it's the same thing over and over again. So it's like when you want to catch someone's eye, don't do this, do something else. And just guys, stop being so fucking creepy. Like stop being creepy. Just, you know, get to know a girl. Like first of all, the concept of friend zone always pissed me off. And I know I sound like a social justice warrior right now, but I've learned so much from this group.
It's a good look on you, man.
No, I've learned so much from this group, but it's like stop being creepy and then stop, like, understand that you can be a friend of a woman and maybe you're being friends and maybe you're seeing the possibility, a nugget of something maybe down the road. But if she quote unquote friend zones you, then just enjoy being around her. Because literally when you get friend zoned, what is it you're doing? You're getting basically the relationship without the sex. Is the sex really that important? So now, like, if you get friend zoned or if you have a female friend, I have a number of female friends that I have no desire or hope of ever having sex with. That's perfectly fine. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think culturally we just come down to a place where we're so steeped in male entitlement that you have the people who are overtly male entitled and they're being confronted by other men who are confronting male entitlement with a more veiled version of male entitlement.
Yeah.
And it's like
the white knight syndrome.
It's like, oh, how dare you call her names because, you know, you're so entitled to your say that you're, you know, offended, and I'm one of the good ones, and because of that, she should want to have sex with me, which is another form of that deeper, you know, male entitlement. And it just shows that, like, and to some level, we've got to understand it's kind of like the whole, like, if you're white, you're racist kind of thing, where people get very bent out of shape about that because they don't understand that the idea is that
it's true,
that it's not your fault. Like, nobody's making a value judgment on you because of that. It's just societally you don't have a choice. Like, you're in a society that you benefit from. It's not up to you to say you are or you're not. It's the same way with male entitlement. If you're a man, especially a white one, you're entitled. Like, you have a level of entitlement, and the more the sooner you recognize that, and you can start to observe it in your own behavior and in the behavior of the men around you, then it's the same thing with being white. If you're white, you're entitled. In the United States, you're entitled. Like, you have a level of entitlement that you may or may not recognize. When you can recognize it, you can start to address it. You can start to compensate for it in your own behavior. But my God, some people go about that in a way that is really not very self-aware.
Yeah. I have. Yeah. Can you just sent me an article a couple of days ago that I feel is like super, super relevant to this. And my internet's loading, so it's going to take me just a second to pull it up.
She's Spectrum.
She's on a 14.4 kbps.
I don't know what any of that means.
Oh man, that's adorable.
God damn it, Amazon. No, I don't want to.
What is a modem? What?
A modem.
Use the telephone line? Is that like DSL?
Welcome. You've got mail.
Okay, I do know that.
Okay.
She's seen movies.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well,
this is important.
Goodbye.
Anyway, so I guess it was a little shocking to me because I didn't realize that men were acting like this, and also seeing some of the things that I've done in the past, and just realizing, I did that too. And that's terrible. Like,
yeah.
And it's an eye opener. If you're a guy, I highly recommend. Don't go in there to troll because you will be swiftly kicked. But just sit there and get into a group like that and just lay low for a while and just read because I saw some of this stuff, and then women would then comment on it, be like, "Oh yeah, that happened to me last week," and I'm like, "What? Like this is something that is constantly going on? Like dudes will just send you a dick pic on Facebook Messenger as their opener," and I'm like, "What? Like that? First of all, has that ever worked?" And second of all, why don't guys understand that women are not, first of all, women are not visually oriented for the most part. There are exceptions, but
there are some guys that are doing that, not thinking it, not like with no expectation it's going to work. Like there are people that are like,
they just want to show off their dick.
Yeah. Like that's the whole, like it's like the subway flasher. Like they're not thinking somebody's going to go like, I'm so turned on by that. Let me like have sex with you on the subway. They're subway flashers because that's the fetish in and of itself, is the exhibitionism.
I guess. Which is that's not what I'm seeing.
Again, it's sexual assault. It's not okay, and I think it's sexual assault on the internet as well. Somebody doesn't ask to see something, don't show them something.
I guess I'm just going to wrap it up by saying, guys, stop being so creepy. And don't think that you're the first, and don't think that you're coming up with something original, and like just like.
And if you're being creepy, stop.
And take your base urges of I want to get her in the sack as quickly as possible, and just chill the fuck out. Like, get to know someone, take them out to dinner, talk to them, and figure out, hey, is this someone that I want to be friends with at the very least?
And guys in our generation, Carly, you and I had a conversation about this a little while back.
Yeah.
Guys, there's almost a need for a movement to go along with the #MeToo movement. And I'm not trying to
hashtag not all guys, because goddamn it, no.
I'm trying to. Well, let me get through this. This is not a super jokeable direction.
Okay,
but basically, we're wanting to hold more men accountable, and more of us, and I count myself among this. Like we're a product of a cultural time where a lot of this stuff we were steeped in a very harmful culture. In terms of a lot of this. So a lot of us
80s and early 90s
we get to a place where we want to hold everyone accountable, and I worry that there's not an environment where we can hold ourselves accountable. I can flat out tell you that I've behaved badly in the past.
As have I.
And a lot of that, like who I was in high school and college was not particularly woke. And we're very interested in like uncovering these things from like there's this like we're going to uncover this about you, and then the on the men's side it seems almost more about like not getting found out than it is just owning that like a lot like all of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s were probably like look at Revenge of the Nerds, like look at American Pie. Like American Pie was the most like emulatable movie in the world in 1999 when I graduated from high school. Like I'm the age of the characters in that, and we looked at that and that was like considered emulatable material. Like that was considered to be like there was nothing wrong with it, what anybody in that movie was doing at the time. And now you watch it with like today's eyes and you're like, holy shit. Like that is deeply problematic and rapey and like there's a lot of bad stuff in that movie.
But it's also high school kids. Like
it is.
It's not right for high school kids to act that way, but they get a little bit more of a pass because high school kids are just, they don't understand the dynamic. They don't understand that what they're doing is wrong.
But that's not the lens of the movie. The lens of the movie is not like we're watching people that are, like, the lens of the movie is, this is how people...
It's every 80s
This is a
comedy.
coming, like, and in a coming of age story, you should, like, end in a place where you go, like, the way I used to think was problematic. And that's where a lot of people, Matt, in our generation are. We grew up in this kind of place, and I think it's important to kind of get to a place where you can look back and say, hey, a lot of like there are women out there whose #MeToo was me. And we almost haven't created a space for people to own that because I think part of it is that people want to catch us and hold us accountable to it. I would rather we create a space where we can hold ourselves accountable to things like that and say, these are the ways that I'm better now, and like, these are the ways that I was, where we start to acknowledge the idea that for an entire generation, and this is not an excuse for this kind of behavior, but not in any way. Like, there are people who were harmed by that. But I can honestly say that when I was the problematic person in those relationships, I didn't realize I was causing harm because it's like when you look at how racist old movies are and you go, but it was a different time. Those people weren't racist by their standard. That was just like,
I've said this exact same thing.
It's like holding someone accountable for in the 60s calling someone who was black colored. We consider that was the polite term at the time, and there were some of those standards in the 80s and early 90s of sort of sexual interaction that were the standard. We know now that there's some very hurtful baggage that go along with some of those things. So, I would love to see there be a space for people to vent some of the stuff that that we can start holding people can start holding themselves a little more accountable and start becoming better. Like hashtag be better. Let's become better. Like, as men, let's recognize that we've been bad and we can be better.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with this space where if you're not caught, if you haven't yet been caught and called out, then you're just trying to lay low and not be found out. And that's just not a way to go through life. Like, we can improve. We can be better people. And I think a lot of this, and we haven't really brought this up on the show, which is amazing, but I think that's a lot of what we run into with the James Gunn discussion of at what point, if the trajectory of social justice is to catch people and hold them accountable, and we don't create a space where people can go, I used to be a dickhead and I've decided not to be a dickhead anymore and I'm trying to live a better life. Do we, is there a space?
Are we whole trope that people don't change. Yes, they do.
Do we create a space for that? Exactly. Or do we say, no, like you said this thing ages ago, and, and of course we could do a whole hour on the James Gunn episode because there are layers to that in terms of sort of the far right co-opting a left movement to start sort of assassinating the careers of people like artists on the left that they don't like.
Right. And this isn't rocket science, guys. Just, don't be creepy and
exactly. Yeah.
And just be nice. Be nice. Don't first of all, slow the fuck down. Right. Cool your fucking jets and just be a better person. You know what you're doing is wrong.
Absolutely.
And what your end goal is not exactly.
And in today's culture, there's no way to do this. There was a time where some of this stuff could be out of ignorance, just like old school racism, where there wasn't necessarily malice involved. Mm-hmm. There's no way you're still behaving like this in 2018 and you don't know it's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't know that women don't like unsolicited dick pics?
Right.
It's 2018. We all know that. Why are you still doing it?
Right.
It's not working for you either. So why are you still doing it?
Absolutely that.
So, yeah.
Get it out. Find another outlet for that stuff. There are, and come on, guys, there are places that are fine with that. Go find one. I don't, and the thing is, I'm not going to delve into the details of that because if you're the kind of guy doing that, you already know where it's okay to do it. Let's be honest. There are we have the internet. I guarantee you it doesn't matter what you're into. There's a community for you and they will love to have you. Go do it in that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So kind of on that note, Ken, you sent me this, I'm so article.
Sorry. You had asked me to send you that picture.
No, that was perfect. That was Damn it.
On that note, Ken, you sent me. I'm like, oh God.
It's a very empowering thing to ask for a dick pic.
Is that the okay?
Wait, what?
Some women want it, especially when it's your significant other. They're like, "Hey, send me that."
Wait, what did I say?
Wait for the woman to ask. God damn it!
What did I send Matt? What did I?
He's pulling your leg, man.
Oh,
I was said it.
You didn't send him anything.
Was it the same picture you sent me?
Oh,
yeah. No, because I have gotten.
I've already seen your dick before. Don't worry about it.
Matt, that was just you from the top. Matt's bald. In case
So
you don't have
you're saying I'm a
visual aid.
dickhead. I see what you're saying.
I'm just saying from the pulse loft looking down onto the mezzanine.
You look like a giant cock.
At least it's giant. Oh man.
Oh dang it! No,
I'm
so
sorry,
anyway,
what were you saying?
So Ken sent me this article, and the article is titled "This viral tweet about a straight girl hooking up with a lesbian will make you think you're wasting your time with all of these men," which caught my attention immediately, of course. And the ensuing text message conversation took place, and this girl shared it on social media. I'm sure with her permission. So she says, so one of my straight friends shared with me that she's never had an orgasm. So I took it upon myself to find her a pretty dyke to get her right. And y'all laughed my ass off. And then this is what the girl sent back. I didn't know sex could feel so good. Does lesbian sex always feel that great? I never liked head because it didn't feel like anything. I deadass thought my clit was broken, but oh my God, when I tell you she sucked my pussy like she was drinking a thick milkshake, and her strap game was immaculate. Very disrespectful though. She wouldn't let me tap out. I came at least 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she goes on, and there's a whole bunch more. If you want to Google it, because it's
donate to our
hilarious.
Patreon, and Carly will
Look,
But
guys.
one of the best parts was the very first comment was this guy who was like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's true, but like, I've never had any complaints. I mean, I've had girls like give me feedback like, yeah, that feels good, or like do more of this, but like, I mean, not all of us are like that terrible at actually having sex with a
not
woman.
all
And I was
guys.
like, dude, like,
Not getting it.
like, you don't even understand. And like the comments responding to him were like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? Like, did you not just read the article that like,
Probably not.
yeah. And he was like, yeah, I read it. I'm just saying like, I'm not bad. And the whole, yeah. And then they just descended upon him like piranha, and it was fantastic.
From what I've gathered from talking to friends, and you know, it's interesting when you have female friends and there's no sexual tension there, that they feel comfortable opening up to you about things, and then
Yeah.
vice versa. And if I found out anything, it's like, first of all, guys, you have been given a fake, or you have been acted. How do I put this? Women have faked orgasms with you so many times, and you don't even know it. Like, it's so common. And like, the way that you get better at sex, I honestly feel, is when you get with a woman, and trust me, guys, women love it when you do this. If you will sit down with a woman and then ask her, hey, so real talk, what am I doing right? And then what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And what do you like? First of all women like something different.
Yeah.
Ask the woman what she likes and what she dislikes, and then do those things, and you will have way better sex by doing
Oh my
it.
gosh.
Can I feel
Yes.
the theory about that?
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
it's because men are deeply insecure creatures.
Very.
It's this crazy thing, like people who are virgins later into their life, paradoxically, tend to be better in bed. Why? Because for one thing, they're slightly more secure grown-ups when they start engaging these topics. But I think also because, and this is especially true for men, the guys that are popular in high school and peak in high school, and they have sex for the first time when they're 15 with a girl who's also 15 and has no basis for comparison. The girl goes, "You are amazing." She has no basis for comparison.
Yeah.
And so the guy mentally locks that in and goes, okay, what I just did, that was amazing in bed. I'm going to keep doing that. So what you end up with is a guy who's then 25 years old and still has sex like a 15-year-old
Yeah.
because somebody a long time ago told them that was amazing, and he's been doing that exact same song and dance for every girl he's been with for and has never really bothered to expand his repertoire. And
That's
meanwhile,
so true.
people who abstain longer and are and they end up being more, like, I don't think there's a coincidence that if you dip into like kink culture and like people that are very sort of sexually out there, that there's a lot of overlap with the people who weren't particularly popular in high school.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah,
because
that's true.
You
a lot
learn
of
so much from the kink community.
and a lot of those
my
people
God,
graduate
so
from
much.
high school and they get married and they keep having teenage sex with their spouse for the rest of their lives, and
Also, watch porn Like, some porn is terrible, but like when you watch enough of it, you start to learn what works and what doesn't, and you can spot like, oh, that's all fake bullshit.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But like, I learned a lot of skills that I have had deep conversations with women about that are like, yeah, that's good stuff.
That is the good stuff.
So, like,
that's so true.
I mean,
Well, and a lot of people that stayed virgins longer and did that voluntarily, let's just say had a longer period of time of like satisfying a lover without just that.
Okay, that's
without
true
just sex.
too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, if you are if you're in a place where you're, you know, choosing not to have, like, let's face it, people that have sex when they're 15, they know one move. It's, you know,
Jackrabbit.
it's I'm putting it in, and we're gonna, you know.
Yeah. And it's not, and dudes, it's guys, it's not all about you. Take some time to like, I will tell you.
Learn some anatomy. You know?
Yeah, dude. Fingers and tongue. Yeah. I have like honed those skills. And if it means that like you don't fuck on the second date or the third or the fifth or the sixth, but you do other stuff, do the other stuff.
Well, and there's something to be said for, like, because I think there's also there's a certain amount of this that does go both ways. Because I think we've all been, and you know, Matt, you and I have been. I guarantee every guy listening to this has been with somebody who, at one point in high school, gave head to her boyfriend, and he was like, "That's amazing," because again, better, you know.
Yeah.
And she since in the intervening 15 years learned no additional information.
Yeah.
And let's just say it's the person where she's like, do you want me to? And you're just like, no, that's okay. That's okay. You don't ever have to do that again. That was like painful and awful, and please don't ever touch me again. But
that's not what needs to happen.
So the moral of the story is, guys, if you've ever been with a woman like that, imagine if that was everyone you're with, and that's how women feel.
Well, also, like, talk to the other person, because you will learn so much. And if I can give one piece of advice, I mean, I'm not like master lover, and I'm not trying to
That's
say
not what I hear, Matt.
I know. It's not what you've experienced either. But no, what I'm trying to say is
just because your ex-boyfriend liked it does not mean I'm going to like it, Matt.
Warm a woman up first.
Yes.
Like, foreplay. Women are not visual creatures. Women are creatures of touch. They want, like, warm them up, kiss them all over, you know, and then use that tongue, use those fingers. They can do things that
some are very visual.
I'm sure your penis is very nice, but fingers and tongues can do things that penises cannot do.
Well, and some
if you do it right, she'll be begging you for your cock.
And some are very visual. So let's not segue.
I'm not saying everyone.
Like, let's not segue from saying like appreciate how different your lovers will be. That being said, here's how women are.
And here's something that a lot of
because we had at least, you know, a handful of women who just heard you say that.
You're right.
Like, I'm visual as hell. I love
you're
me
right.
some.
There's always a goddamn outlier exception. I goddamn kid.
Hashtag I am the outlier.
Hashtag not everyone. But I guess what
some women don't need to be warmed up at all. Is all I'm saying.
There's times when not everyone, like when you've been warmed up the entire night because it's
because there's other ways of warming up.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would say is, if your woman will let you watch her masturbate, do not get involved. Just watch, and you will learn what she likes. Because nobody's going to please that woman better than what she can do to herself.
So Matt's Patreon is
it's called tips from the chubby 42-year-old bald
tips
guy.
From the tip.
So since we haven't done intros, so Matt,
fucking that's the show title right there.
So since we haven't done this, that's Matt. He is at
NC Matt J on Twitter. If you want to tell me exactly what I just got wrong, let me have it.
Yeah.
Maybe a poor choice of words right there.
If he got it wrong, don't let him have it. You can swipe right on him at NCMattJ at Tinder.com.
Hey, I ain't had any complaints. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
The second that a dude says that,
You're
And
like,
the-
fuck, man.
and the sexy,
don't know
the sexy
anything.
voiced bisexual telling the stories over here is Car2D2.
Thanks. You can find me on the Instagram at car2.d2.
I'm Ken. I've been uncharacteristically less involved in this conversation, which is
That is different.
That
which is weird.
different.
At Multiverse AVL, and if my parents are listening, hey, mom and dad, you just learned all kinds of things. But you know,
If my parents are listening, that's what you get. You
My
knew
parents-
what you were getting involved with.
if my parents are listening, you're welcome.
So I remember, Ken, you mentioned before the show started about and boy, let's hit the parking brake and we're gonna skirt right into a
that's
different topic. You were talking about Buffy. I mean, talking about in our last episode, we were talking about 90s TV shows.
The Buffy reboot.
Well, yeah, this was in the wake of Comic-Con, which
And
feels
it
like
is
an
a-
eternity ago now. But
Right, and it is a reboot. It's not a continuation.
well,
I can't
it was initially supposed to, like, people expected it to be a reboot, but now they're saying it's another show that takes place in the same continuity as the original, as Buffy and Angel, the TV show, and
Okay.
which was itself sort of a soft reboot of the movie. So it's not
which
it's
shall not be named.
Yeah, it's technically
well, I mean, I think technically it was like a continuation because they referenced the movie.
they did, but they were never bound by that. Like it was sort of one of those things where
Yeah.
we'll reference it, but like if something we say contradicts the movie's not canon. Like there's
Okay.
like to the extent that they eventually did a comic adaptation of the movie that was in continuity with the show. So it
that's
was
cool.
basically where they retroactively, after like 4 or 5 seasons of the TV show, went back to the movie and basically wrote it as though it happened. Like this is the way it happened. It really happened in our canon, and it changed like a lot of the movie details to agree with the show. Basically,
Oh, that's cool. I'd like to check that out. I didn't know that was a thing.
yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty.
The
cool
movie, if
adaptation.
you've never seen the movie's way less dark, I feel, than the show. The show,
Yeah, well, no, the show was closer to Joss Whedon's vision, where Joss Whedon will be the first, or has been the first, to say that the movie was a great early example of like, I had this idea, I made this screenplay, then the studio got involved and made all of these changes because they
It's like
wanted
what
it
you were
to
talking
be-
about last episode.
they make
Matt.
it like a teen movie, angsty teen 90s movie.
Because in some ways, the movie was less dark than the TV show, so it was kind
That's
of
what I'm saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
the movie was less dark than the TV show.
right. Yeah,
I mean, the TV show wasn't that dark.
No.
but-
Not in the beginning seasons.
no.
yeah. Well, and then Angel was a darker show than Buffy. They kind of went into, but again, it was still also a comedy. So
Right.
I mean, if anybody listening to this knows this show enough to know
Yeah.
what Joss Whedon does.
Yeah.
Because if they've not seen Buffy Angel, they've seen Firefly or they've seen Cabin in the Woods, and they know it's
Yeah.
funny dialogue in dark situations.
Sure. That's his MO, for sure.
But and I would imagine we'd be looking, if this took place in the same universe, we'd be looking for more of the same kind of thing. The showrunner has been announced as Monica Oswabrine, and I hope I'm saying that the right way.
Okay.
It's hyphenated last name, but she is not a Whedon, which is some people
As in related to him?
Yeah, well, and that, I mean, when you consider how often he puts his siblings in charge of projects.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
But she, her cred comes from working on. She was an executive story editor and writer on Alias. She did Brothers and Sisters, which is not really like the kind of show I'm into, but I know it was by all accounts very good.
Well, yeah, but Joss Whedon got his start on Roseanne. So.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But she worked on Lost. She worked on Fringe. She worked on Revolution.
Two great.
She was a writer and co-executive producer on Fringe. She was the supervising producer and writer on Lost. She was on Revolution, which didn't do very well, but I think she wrote an episode of that. She's on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is probably how she knows Joss.
What network is this show going to be on? Do we know?
I would imagine...
Or is it going to be streaming?
I would imagine 20th Century Fox. It claims to be 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be on Fox.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Because Disney now owns Fox, so they could put it anywhere they want.
Is that official yet, or is that just it's moving forward because they got the green light?
Well, it's technically a merger. I think it's a done deal for all, but maybe the paperwork being done. Like it's a done deal, but they're approaching it as a merger. But I mean,
But
come
let's
on.
be honest.
But exactly.
And this is the entertainment version of division of Fox, not the news, not the
right. Yeah,
the
it's
publication
Fox
version.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
20th Century Fox Entertainment. So that's going to be.
And will this be
Interesting.
in canon with the original Buffy series?
Well, that's what they're saying now, is that this is going to take place in that universe and be in some way
Sequel.
kinda.
Because in the finale of Buffy, one of the crazy things that then the comic books got to explore was that they awakened all of the potential Slayers and made them Slayers.
Right. So there's going to be a certain amount. I mean, but of course, this is a show that they could undo that with a line of dialogue, or they could say that was
or some sort of talisman or
that
something.
that was a sure sucks that turns out about 10 years after because it's been like 15 years now. So it's like sure sucks that 10 years after that spell it started to wear off.
Dude, who's the
something.
king of this is Doctor Who. Doctor
That's so
Who.
true.
Yeah.
How many times has the world been awoken to the fact that there are aliens and they've crashed into Big Ben, and then the next season they just magically seem to forget about it?
Yeah, they're like,
Well, they do that all the time. And look at Ghostbusters 2, where 3 years after the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is walking through the city, they go, oh man, it sure sucks that nobody believes in ghosts anymore in New York. And it's like,
Yeah, or what?
like we're having to defend ourselves against people that think we just made the whole thing up. And it's like, you did see the end of the last movie, right? Like,
Well, I mean, the fun thing that I love about Doctor Who is the way that it addresses that.
Yeah.
Is just very much a wink,
By not
wink,
addressing it, yeah.
wink, wink. We know they have addressed it. They's like, humans just don't like to believe in what their eyes tell them, and they like to live in their own little world.
Yeah.
And that's how they explain it away. And I think it's a great way.
and that's
to do
why
it.
Doctor Who has happy fans instead of all of these other fandoms that have these angry fan bases, because Doctor Who has basically said, look, we've got like 65 years of continuity here, guys. If we're going to keep all of that continuity straight, we are not going to be able to tell a damn story anymore.
Yeah.
So we're going to err on the side of being narratively interesting, and it's going to make no sense whatsoever. So just let us write a damn
go
story
with it.
and wibbly wobbly timey wimey. And now fans,
Exactly.
and when the show says that, fans go, oh, okay.
yeah.
And Marvel does that all the time.
Is
and
that
Marvel
a British thing? Because I feel like the British people are more inclined to be like, okay, instead of Americans, they're like, no,
keep calm and shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's what fandoms in Britain.
Yeah.
but like,
Well,
but,
also
but in
addressing
fairness,
it. I don't know what that was. Addressing it head on. I think it's like it's not the blowjob that brings down the presidency. It's the cover up, and it's just like if you just come out and like address it head on, everybody you will find will be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Let's move on.
Well, and there's a certain amount of Gertie didn't like that.
I will not move on. I want to know why.
Gertie is such an angry
Buffy
fan.
did
You'll find that continuity does matter less when you pay attention to your storytelling, because how many continuity errors are there in the damn MCU? I mean, and people still love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Iron Man, where they were making a really big deal about like S.H.I.E.L.D. being this new thing they didn't really even have a name for yet. And then like 2 movies later, it turned out it was founded by like Howard Stark back in the 40s, and it had been around forever. And
And like, how many times can Thor destroy like the Rainbow Road before like
the Rainbow Road.
yeah, that's why
The Bifrost?
The Bifrost. I like calling it the Rainbow Road. And he can still get back and like back and forth to
Those
Earth.
poor
and
Mario Karters never recovered.
It's true, they didn't.
Just floating out into space. Oh God. So but like, yeah, people will give you continuity errors and be fine with that if you just freaking relax and like.
I mean, fans in general need to
Well,
relax.
yeah, let's call the episode that. I bet we'll get a lot of traffic on that.
Fans, you need to relax.
So on that note, I'm interested to see. Again, they can fix that. Or they can just ignore it, which Angel did. Like, because Buffy
Angel
ended,
just straight
and
up
then,
ignored it.
And then Angel went on for like 2 more seasons. Where
One more
season where they didn't have like Slayers coming out of the woodwork every other episode.
Right.
But,
yeah. And also
It was on a different network.
Well, but
Yeah,
they
totally
still
different.
made it like it wasn't every woman. It was like still 1 out of like every 10,000 women or something.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
is still
But-
pretty rare, but like it sounds like we're describing a condition. But like in the Buffy comic books, they also
She's been diagnosed as having
diagnosed
Slayer
with potential Slayerism. But no, because like
This is who
Buffy,
I am, Mom.
Why could you accept me for who I am?
But like the Buffy comics also went through and I'm probably showing my need to catch up on the Buffy comics. But at one point they also like all magic had disappeared. Like, and so Willow was like not able to do anything, and that was like part of the story. And so,
well, but obviously people have a major bone to pick with this new Buffy because number one, Joss Whedon is not running it himself, writing it himself. It's presumably going forward with his blessing because I don't think anything cannot. I don't know really how those rights are broken down these days.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
sure
know
Joss
either.
probably doesn't own the rights himself, but I don't know exactly how that works. But also, the new focus of the show is an African-American Slayer, and so, of course, the internet had a lot to say about that because I don't know why a Slayer wouldn't be black, but
there were
No,
already
well.
black Slayers in that universe.
I
guys.
know, but they killed them all.
Hashtag MAGA.
Yeah, they kill all the Slayers, guys. That's kind of the point. Like, another one
Yeah.
can't arise until the other one dies.
Except for all the times that it doesn't work that way, which is
Well, that's
again,
just because
one of Matt's
Buffy is
things
Buffy.
of- yeah. So
Timey-wimey.
when
wobbly.
Buffy dies repeatedly, and a new Slayer's called every time, and then Buffy comes back. So there's always, which I
Poor
don't know how
girl.
that works.
Contract negotiation.
And then when those,
seriously.
and then when those Slayers die, is another Slayer called, or is
It
she
is
just full?
No, another Slayer is called because when
okay.
Kendra died,
Kendra the Slayer.
so accurate. Oh my god. Then Faith
The
was called
Vampire Slayer.
the Vampire Slayer. Then Faith was called.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Anyway,
Because you gotta have faith.
Faith.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
So there will potentially be. I mean, this is either going to be one of those things that tanks, or we're going to have a Buffy cinematic universe in the next,
Yeah.
while. Is this going to be a TV franchise though, or a movie franchise? Because I don't know that. I assume if it has a showrunner, it's a TV franchise.
Yes. Yeah.
TV's where it's at right now.
I just
It
feel
is
like
where
with
it's at.
everything retro being as popular as it is, and for Buffy still having as incredibly high a fan base as it still has, then I think this show is probably going to just kill it in the ratings, regardless of what they do.
I think so. Emma, if you'd like to check out a pretty in-depth look at one of the old cast members kind of speaking into this, you can Google the interview with Emma Caulfield.
Oh, cool.
Who wrote like a really great and interesting article on kind of her response to this as being part of the not original season because she didn't come into play until season 3. But she has a really great article. Go check it out. As somebody who is like a devout Buffy fan, I really, really resonated with what she was saying. So,
And of course, if it takes place in the same continuity, we can count on cameos.
oh God, yes, I'm so excited.
I mean,
well, not from Anya because.
Well, we don't know. Again,
Okay, that's
everything
true.
can be undone
Everything
with a line
can
of
be
dialogue,
undone, like-
except Tara, because that would be so
You know,
unearned.
this is a thing, though.
Too soon, Ken.
and not
Too
Sarah Michelle Gellar,
soon.
because she's just not going to.
And this has been a thing, though. A lot of shows are either being rebooted or they're just being revived.
Well, and what's the show that came back like after just being like they just did it, and now they turned around and rebooted it? It's
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Do you know like what genre? Sci-fi, fantasy?
I want to say it's like a sci-fi, but I don't know.
I mean,
it's on like the periphery of
I know they're going to reboot Stargate into a movie franchise, like
Okay.
completely rebooted, like
Right.
from the beginning,
like not in continuity or anything.
No,
yeah.
completely new. They've
'Cause they're
redone.
bordering on that. We can't tell a story and keep all the continuity straight territory
Yeah.
too. They've just
Yeah.
got like a volume.
but
I
like,
think anywhere north of like
TV
15 seasons of content, you get.
Yeah. But like TV in general is doing this. Like there's a revive of Murphy Brown, which is a news television
Yeah.
show from, or a fictitious news television show from my childhood.
I'd be interested to know. Like, didn't Murphy
Designing
Brown kind
Women-
of say what it needed to say?
In the age of Trump, I think that they've got a whole
right,
new
maybe.
bit of content they can
Yeah,
do.
maybe.
And all the original characters come back for that one. They are they're reviving Designing Women, but I think that's going to be a reboot.
So is that going to be like a reimagining, or is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like a
so
more
they're not
modern.
bringing back the cast to do
No,
like
because I think Delta Burke's dead. Didn't she die?
I don't know.
I think some of them died.
Like at this point, that would be the Golden Girls. Like
I've heard the Golden Girls is in early, early stages of possibly being redone.
Well, and Lord of the Rings is in a reboot. They're doing a TV show, I think, in kind of the Game of Thrones style.
There's a lot
we haven't gotten into. So,
especially if you redo it,
which that's kind of the way to do some of this stuff. And I've long said, now that X-Men, like I don't think X-Men needs to be rolled into the MCU on the movie side. I think if you're going to do something in continuity, do it on the TV side. I think X-Men is one of those things that's never really been done on TV, and now we could do it in long form television, and just the volume of characters you have to like treat and because of what the show is about, like it's not like thematically there's a lot of really deep stuff potentially in X-Men that you kind of like they've done it in the movies, but it's been like you also have to make time for all the action and all the other stuff. So it always has to get back to like, when are we going to fly around and shoot laser beams? And you could do X-Men in terms of like the persecution and all of that being a very deep story.
Agreed.
where on TV you don't have to keep that same pace. I just think we're in a second golden era of television right now, and I think that we are seeing the decline, and whether it'll be a permanent decline of movies, as in the movie going experience, as in hey honey, let's go watch a movie at the local cinema and pay $25 a pop for each person. I think that we are starting to witness. Because now TV is movie quality.
Yeah.
When you watch Star Trek Discovery, that fucking show could easily, each one of those episodes could be its own movie.
Yeah.
Sure. So, I mean, they're doing some amazing stuff in its long form storytelling. I think we're seeing eventually, I think they'll still make movies, but I think it'll be like what Netflix is doing. Where Netflix is doing these one-off movies. But people have 60-inch OLED screens now in their homes.
Well, it'll be like video arcades.
And 4K television.
Video arcades now are having a resurgence just because there's a whole nother generation for whom there's a novelty involved in, like, I'm going to get in a room full of strangers and play video games.
Right, but it's a very niche revival.
Absolutely. Movie theaters, I think will exist in that space where it's places, like drive-ins now. You take people to a drive-in because, hey, remember this?
Yeah, and places like Biltmore Grand, which is the one here in Nashville, the big theater here in Nashville is right down the road from where we are now. I think those places are going to go away, and it's going to be places like Alamo Draft House,
art house theaters and things like that.
Or the theater that I've talked about on this show that's in Waynesville, where it's just like it's more of a boutique kind of
with the gourmet popcorn.
Like art house theaters where part of the experience of the film is seeing it in that setting.
Right. And an Alamo Draft House is like, let's go have dinner and like watch the movie
and see Wrath of Khan in 35 millimeter, which is not something you will have ever seen. And people, they do that already with Fathom events and stuff like that at existing movie theaters, where it's like, sure, you've seen West Side Story, but have you ever seen West Side Story on the big screen? No. Okay. Well,
exactly.
Here we're going to put it up again for a day. And
I have seen Back to the Future. I don't know how many times, hundreds of times.
Right.
But nothing was as special as when I got to see Back to the Future only for the second time in my life on the big screen. Its 25th anniversary 15 years ago or something.
Well, and you're still going to pay full price. That's the thing. Like, we went and saw Ghostbusters and we paid full price for a ticket to go see a movie I'd seen dozens of times, but Carly hadn't seen it. And it was like, let me show this to you in the theater.
Yeah.
Where like you...
And it's different. It is different.
It is a different experience. I think that will happen too. But I think a big part of this is the fact that so much of the theater going is turning into sort of these cinematic universe type of tent poles where like everything's a tent pole for the next tent pole. But that resembles, again, the long form storytelling that you're seeing on TV. Meanwhile, entities like Netflix are getting more and more of the movies that would have been
independent movies
when was the last time an Emma Stone rom-com was at the theater? It's been a long time, because Emma Stone rom-coms now go straight to Hulu or straight to Netflix. Right. Not because they're bad, because
nobody wants to pay $25 to see it.
Well, but straight to DVD used to be like, this movie came out kind of crappy, and so we're not doing a mass release and any marketing. Now it's like, I will see a trailer for a movie on the internet, and I'm like, wow, that looks like a big ass blockbuster, and it'll be on Netflix A-list movie stars. But it's the kind of thing where, again, rom-coms aren't Black Panther. Like
Right.
rom-coms are not something where it's
They're
added.
not an event.
Like seeing Ryan Reynolds hit on the stuffy coworker and then everybody learns a lesson in the end is not better in a 16:9 aspect ratio on an IMAX screen.
Also, let's be fair. A romantic comedy that you can watch at home with your lady.
Yeah, so much
private.
better for shenanigans.
Telling you guys.
Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Hulu show with Sean Penn as the lead actor?
Right. It's they're going to Mars. It's a science fiction movie. I'm cautiously optimistic on it.
I am too, but I was more shocked by they were like, oh, by the way, Sean Penn is like the main person in this.
5 years ago, and we even talked about this on this show, and I remember us doing it like 4 years ago. We were talking about how it would eventually get to a place where being in a movie on Netflix was not a shameful, sort of like superhero. Being in a superhero movie used to mean that your career sucked, and now it's like, how can I get a piece of that Marvel cinematic
How can I get a piece
cheddar?
of that sweet
How can I get
cheddar?
locked into a like it was very rare to have a name brand actor saying, how can I get a 7-movie deal? Like it used to be a 7-movie deal was like, I'm nobody and I'm hoping to be somebody, so please sign me for something in 6 sequels. Because like even back when Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth were signed, that was sort of the method. And now you've got people like Benedict Cumberbatch, whose star had already arisen, saying, "I'll take it. Make me like I'm here, MCU. Make me somebody."
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the like the technology caught up with television, so that you know now you can use a Mac Pro desktop and you can do the stuff that it used to take a server farm of Silicon Graphics, machines 3 months to do. You can do it in like 3 hours on a Mac Pro. I think that's helped. The technology's caught up, but like a lot, I know so many, and one of them is one of the people I want to bring on the show. I know so many writers who are just like, they're just going straight to writing for television because they can, they got, and man, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon are sinking so much money into these new shows.
Yeah.
That new Jack Ryan show that's on Amazon is fucking phenomenal. Like, and
That's awesome.
they have like, okay, it blows my mind that a television show has car chase scenes filmed in the streets of Paris, like in Paris. Like they didn't like, oh well, let's make Los Angeles look like Paris. No, they went to Paris and then like did these giant action scenes that you would think came out of one of the Mission Impossible movies.
But at the same time, it's not all production values and budget. Like we talk about how like Hollywood production value, like the cost of an episode of Game of Thrones puts a lot of movies to shame in terms of budget. But it's not even all about that, because the most popular, like the most successful television show of last year was Cobra Kai on YouTube Red, which is now YouTube Premium. Like,
I'm glad they made that change.
Like but like there's, I know. So there,
I don't understand that reference.
There's a porn site called RedTube, and YouTube Red was very much sounded like that.
Oh, it does sound like that.
Yeah. So, but
all right, good to
there
know.
were a lot of people that paid $9.99 a month and didn't get what they thought they were getting. But but I mean, and Cobra Kai sold a lot of YouTube subscriptions because that was one of the places that they put that. So
I had heard not good things about that before it actually premiered, and then I heard great things.
But that was made on a shoestring budget, and of course, I'm sure somebody will dump money into it at this point. But it was. I think we're seeing Carly's snuggling the puppy. If you guys are wondering what that sound is, she is.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was kissing her very quietly.
Yeah,
she's just
over
so
here.
snuggly.
She's holding Gertie like
a baby.
She's holding her like a baby, and then giving her little butterfly kisses.
So but
I miss dogs.
But I'm with you, Matt. I think it's one of the like. I think we're seeing a transition where some of the bigger movies are going to be hitting streaming services first and foremost, and it won't just be like when Bright came out, I remember thinking like, wow, Will Smith is like doing a direct to you. Now it turned out that movie was horrible by all accounts, so I haven't seen it, but by all accounts that movie was awful.
have not heard good things.
So it makes me wonder if for a hot minute there that was sort of the direct to DVD, like where they'd make a movie and then be like, oh, this sucks ass. Let's see if Netflix will buy it.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that Netflix literally has so much cash. They have so much money because they have people like me who are continuing to pay almost $10 a month for YouTube or for Netflix.
Sure.
I don't watch a lot of Netflix right now. Like I'm watching other stuff. I'm watching a lot of YouTube, and I'm watching a lot of stuff I'm watching is over on Amazon Prime, but I'm still paying that $10 a month for Netflix.
Yeah.
As Disney buys more and more of the market, it's going to get harder for theaters because anybody who knows, like we've done it on the show before, but if you can Google it if you don't know, but the way that Disney treats movie theaters is in terms of like the amount of money they can get.
They know their leverage.
If you want the next Star Wars movie, you have to carry like this turd that we made for like 6 months, like, you know, The Life of Monkeys, Disney Nature Presents, like that nobody's going to go see. You have to carry that for like no shorter than 10 weeks if you want to even get a chance of Avengers 4 coming to your theater. Like it's horrible, like extortion, like contracts that Disney. So the more that Disney controls, the more narrow that market's going to be, the more independent films are going to be, which are a lot more practical than they used to be, which we saw in the music industry. The more people could write an album and record it in their garage, the less leverage movie or music, you know, record labels had. And
also these independent films that used to be made for like $1.5 million, which for a movie is ridiculously
like
small.
Fan films now have production values that rival Hollywood. So
right, and they're but what I was saying is like those movies that used to be independent and would like be in the theaters for like a week in like 17 theaters just so they could be considered for Oscar nomination or whatever. Those are all going straight over to Netflix, and then Netflix is quadrupling their budget and giving them enough money. Because it literally is nothing to Netflix.
Well, because the production values...
How much you want? Sure, here you go.
Production, and you mentioned production values, and that's the thing that killed the video arcade. Because the reason, even when we had Nintendos and Sega Genesis and things like that, like why did we still go to arcades? Well, because the games that came out in arcades were technologically more advanced than what we played at home. First, it was we didn't have any video games at home. Then it was like, well, we have video games at home, but they're like weak-ass imitations of the arcade stuff. And then PlayStation came out. And that's when video arcades started to see the writing on the wall, and they were like, wait a minute, now what people have in their living room rivals what we can do here. And of course that has advanced in more and more, and now they don't even really make a lot of arcade games anymore. And now arcades are more for like skee ball and pinball and like big things you sit in and the kinds of things that aren't practical for for the home. If
you're in your mid to late 30s, early 40s, if you want to see this in action, go to a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, or
there are no arcade games in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Or Dave and Buster's, like Dave and Buster's, which is for grown-ups, has a Halo game that was just released that was made for Dave and Buster's, and it is a brand new arcade machine, but it's not a stand-up arcade cabinet. It's a thing you like sit in, and it has like VR, and it's an experience. It's designed for grown-ups to go to Dave and Buster's and play, and that's like the remnant of what like arcade culture is. It's still got to be they still have to give you something, and I think that's the thing with like, to bring this back around to your theater analogy, what theaters will still bring is this exact thing where it will have to be something that your home experience can't bring you.
Right.
And that's usually not content. That's usually presentation.
Yeah, agreed.
So there's
the social aspect of it. I mean, there's a social aspect of being able to go to the arcade and have fun.
We went to the arcade yesterday.
Which one did you do?
The Retrocade in downtown Asheville. That place is freaking awesome.
No, wait. Okay, I don't get out to Asheville as much anymore.
Yeah.
There's a really cool bar here that's an arcade bar.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that there was one on like in West Asheville, but there's one in...
That's the one.
Oh, that's the one you're talking about.
We went to the one in West Asheville.
Yeah. Okay. It's super cool. Shout out to Retrocade.
Woo woo.
So, but I mean, it's crazy. We talked, it's sort of a recurring thing that we bring up on the show, which is the weird state of cinematic universes. And one is Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are both out at DC. They will not be coming back as Superman and Batman, which is going to be the way that, and of course it would be obviously the smartest thing in the world for DC to just at this point say, look, Wonder Woman works. We're going to keep doing Wonder Woman. The rest of this experiment sucked. We will maybe figure out a way to reboot it or relaunch it at some point down the line. But at this point, enjoy the next few Wonder Woman movies and maybe Aquaman if that turns out to be any good. But like, we're not going to just recast Superman and Batman and try to truck on with the Justice League because it's a horrible idea. And we'll see what they'll do. But their response has been kind of as reactionary as we would expect it to be at Warner Brothers, which is, since Superman and Batman are gone and Wonder Woman's the only sort of unqualified success that we've had, we're going to make a Batgirl movie and and move forward with like Birds of Prey, which is a female-centric, just a bunch of female-led projects, which is fine. I mean, that's a cool thing for them to do. But you can see that they're still trying to kind of pull a cinematic universe out of the rubble of the movies that they've made, in some way still convinced that something that they do is going to retroactively make Batman v Superman and Justice League better movies.
Which it won't.
But
if it puts more female superheroes on the screen, especially more representation of people of color, or maybe neurodivergent or trans or immigrants, awesome. Bring it on.
I mean, it could be, they're just, I agree entirely. I wish that it wasn't the fallout. Like, I wish it didn't come in the form of the fallout from a failed project.
I understand, but some of the, you're only going to get those, those more potentially risky things when they've got nothing to lose.
Well, and are you guys up to speed on what Sony is doing with the remnants of their license to Spider-Man?
No.
They're basically doing... if you guys flash back a couple of years ago when Amazing Spider-Man 2 bombed hard and it was used as the groundwork for an entire Spider-Man cinematic universe they were planning to do. Like, they were teasing in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like they were going to do Amazing Spider-Man 3, and then there was going to be a Sinister Six movie, and there was going to be a Black Cat movie, and they had introduced Felicia Hardy as, I'm blanking on her name, from Inferno and Rogue One. And Felicity Jones. Was going to be Black Cat, and they've had this whole Silver and this whole franchise that was going to explode out from that because the MCU had taken off. And of course, the first one out for that was going to be Venom, and Venom is still happening. Yeah. And its status within or tangential to the MCU is something nobody really knows, but. Sony has decided to basically still do their Spider-Man cinematic universe without Spider-Man in it. So it's going to be like spin-offs based on Spider-Man characters, just Spider-Man will not be present. And that's there's I would love to have some really witty commentary on that, but I just really don't know how to process the idea of how they're gonna try to it's I think they just got this license and they want a cinematic universe of their very own. Sony, between Ghostbusters and this,
they're trying so hard,
really
man.
Want a cinematic universe so badly. And here's the thing, it gets people, and I'm not the first to speculate this, but it makes people wonder, including me, is this really because they were behind the Mummy and Universal and all that.
Yeah, the monsters universe.
It makes people wonder, again, including me, is this really about them wanting a project like a cinematic universe to make money off of, or is this about them getting Sony trying to leverage for a deal like Fox got? Are they trying to make an exit and trying to increase their stock with fans to a place where it's going to be sweet for Disney to try to snatch them up and roll them into the MCU, and that's one of they've been really ambiguous about how does Venom fit into the whole MCU thing, and they're well, it's not part of it, but it's not part of it either, and it's so you made this whole movie where you could sort of retroactively say it was part of the MCU all along. If we start making movies that way, this is all
talk about continuity issues.
Imagine if they had made Logan being a completely different studio from Marvel, but they had made Logan with the idea that we can't do anything in here.
Compatible.
Yeah, we can't do we're a completely different studio,
oh my gosh.
but we're making all of our things MCU compatible from now on, just in case. Yeah. Like this, just narratively, this could be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see. We'll keep everybody posted on this as things develop.
Yeah,
but,
this developing story.
oh my gosh! But we'll see. We've got a Spider-Man-less Venom movie coming, and we'll see how that one rolls out. Because again, this could be a lot of bluster. Because if Venom tanks, I'm calling it now. If Venom is not a huge success, the rest of these Spider-Man universe movies will not happen. It'll be the Mummy all over again.
Yeah, agreed.
But they're
They'd
seeing.
be like, well, that was a
the
fun
Mummy.
one. Oh, the Mummy. God,
Which kind of sucks because I think, to continue my prediction, I think Venom will be a huge success whether it's any good or not. Because it's Venom, and people have been wanting a Venom movie.
And because it's what's his name.
Fans have been wanting a Venom movie since like 1992.
Yeah.
And when does Venom come out? It's soon, right?
Like in a few weeks.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. Well, but we'll round that up.
It's no Crazy Rich Asians.
That's true. Oh my gosh. I'm Ken.
I'm Matt.
I'm Cartoon.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Figures Sold Separately is a multiverse podcast produced by TurboFanProductions.com. Please remember to subscribe to the show and follow and talk with us on Facebook and Twitter. Our theme music is by I Fight Dragons. Hear more about them at ifightdragons.com. Figures Sold Separately is copyright 2018, all rights reserved.